items at regular price. Prices may be higher in Alaska, California, and Hawaii.
1 in 4 Americans have a disability. I'm one of them. I'm also a working mom who cares deeply about making sure every child with a disability thrives by getting their access needs met. We've got a trusted ally by our side. Easter Seals provides children and families the foundation for lifelong success through early learning programs, skills training, and prep for college and career. That's my Easter Seals. Make it yours. Join us at Easterseals.
Hey, Cudahy to all my friends and relatives in 4 directions. This is Robert Pilot of Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake. I'm here to ask you for your support. Finding honest Native-centered news is not easy. But with your support, we're able to provide accurate information about Standing Rock, Line 3, treaty violations, and COVID-19 in our Native communities. Please visit Native Roots Radio Network on Patreon and donate if you can. That's Native Roots Radio Network on Patreon. Pinigigi, and thank you for your support. The Walker Art Center is a proud supporter of Native Roots Radio, rooted in Lakota aesthetics of geometry, color, and pattern. Diani Whitehawk's abstractions are rich in meaning, honoring generations of Native artists. Explore her wide-ranging practice, including vivid beading paintings, sculptures, and video installations, and Diani Whitehawk's love language. The Walker is always free on Thursday nights, and citizens and members of tribal nations always get free admission. Plan your visit and get tickets at walkerart.org.
The city of Minneapolis is now on Native Roots Radio with Minneapolis AIR. AIR stands for American Indian Relations. Guest host Christine McDonald talks to people about important things affecting the city's Native communities. Minneapolis AIR dives into topics like public safety, public health, elections, and so much more. Tune in to Minneapolis AIR on Native Roots Radio from 5 to 6 p.m. on the second Wednesday of every month, right here on AM 950.
The Walker Art Center is a proud supporter of Native Roots Radio. Visit Diani Whitehawk, Love Language, an exhibition that celebrates the Sichangu Lakota artist. The exhibition celebrating Whitehawk closes on February 15th, centered on connection between one another, past and present, earth and sky, and traditions of Lakota abstraction. Love Language is a sweeping survey of Whitehawk's work. The Walker is always free on Thursday nights, and citizens and members of tribal nations always get free admission. More info at walkerart.org.
Greg Bakken here. I've told you about the out-of-the-world roast beef sandwiches at Maverick's Real Roast Beef, but I haven't told you about their Philly steak sandwiches, turkey bacon avocado sandwich, BLT, crispy chicken, fish sandwiches, brisket, or pulled pork. Okay, you get the idea. They make a lot of delicious food to the same standard as their famous roast beef sandwiches, and now I'm starving. I'm going to go to Maverick's Real Roast Beef off Lexington and Roseville, and you need to go too. Check out their menu at mavericksbeef.com.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Brett Johnson. Look for clear skies tonight with a low of 3 below, Saturday sunny with a high near 17, and Sunday some light snow with a high around 29. The bakery at Cafe Latte features legendary cakes, cupcakes, and fresh-baked breads crafted with real ingredients. You won't find artificial flavors, colors, or preservatives at Cafe Latte, just pure quality. Whether it's a sweet treat or a gourmet meal, head to Victoria and Grand for Cafe Latte. More at cafelatte.com.
They are going to become more brutal.
Couldn't cut again.
Because all the hippies were trying to be Indians anyway.
They're going to become more repressive because it's a matter of dollars and their illusionary concepts of power.
Hey, Victor.
We must live in balance with the earth.
And also with recent happenings at Wounded Knee.
I am awake. Welcome to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and I'm your host, Wakanja Hade. Hey, Cudahy to all my friends and relatives in 4 directions. You are listening to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and I'm your host, Robert Pilot. Hey, we discuss local, national, Native news and events, and as you know, Native issues are human issues, and human issues are Native issues. Hey, we are with our friend, State Senator Mary Kunesh from the great state of Minnesota. Always great to see you and talk to you and start out the weekend in a good way. Thank you so much for being on, and especially thank you so much for being on during these times that we live in right now. It's good to hear voice of reason and what's going on in a real world, especially with all this, especially with the attack on independent media. So welcome, State Senator.
Thank you so much, Matakayape, everybody. It's good to be here with you, and I have my little sidekick Sylvia here today. She decided she'd rather spend the day with Grandma than go to preschool, so we've been hanging out all day.
I want to go to preschool.
Where are you going?
That's guys.
Just school?
Oh.
I'm not going to go to school.
No, today you're here with Grandma. Yeah. So we've been coloring and doing nails and staying warm, taking care of baby brothers. Yeah, it's a good day. It's really been a good day.
Yeah, definitely. Well, and then kind of what I mentioned too is the weirdness in the attack on independent media with Don Lemon, and we were also, sad to hear that a lot of people that had to do with just the videotaping of the church that's right up the street from me. From the I don't want to get too controversial with you, Jan, but when you're having a church service from an ICE person, that doesn't bode well to being a really outstanding church. And I just wanted to say that.
Yeah, I mean, there's that fine line between the freedom to speak, the freedom to protest, and there was, here in Minnesota, everybody knows that ICE has just taken over the metro area for sure. And some of our folks that are really outspoken, held a protest in a church, interrupted a service, and pretty much all of those, give me a minute, pretty much all of those people were arrested this morning at the crack of dawn, basically. Yeah. And Lemon was out in LA when he was arrested.
Yep.
And so and some of them had been arrested, and then the court said, no, you have to let them go. Mm-hmm. And now they're coming back with, even bolstered issues or force. I don't know. I don't want to say legal force or legal legitimacy, because, this ICE situation is so lawless. There's no rhyme or reason to what they're doing. Originally, they said it was here to ferret out fraud in Minnesota. Minnesota doesn't even make the top 10 states of fraud in state government. The top 10 are primarily red states. Mm-hmm. And you don't see any of that. And they're talking about pulling people who are, criminals and rapists and drug dealers. Well, that's not who they're after. I mean, in my district alone, we now have, 4 youth were taken by Trump. You might have heard about little Liam, who arrived home with his father. He and his father have legal immigration papers. They were doing everything right. They entered correctly. The father was a hardworking member of our community, and went to pick his son up, brought him home, and ICE descended upon them in their driveway. Yeah. And it was really sad because they got the dad. There's one story that says he ran away and abandoned his son, his 5-year-old son, which is absolutely not true. Absolutely not true. Mm-hmm. Then ICE took him, the 5-year-old, up to the front door to knock on the door to get the mom to open the door so that they could barge in. And the dad sat outside yelling, "Don't open the door, don't open the door," because the mom also had an older child that wasn't home from school yet. And so they used this little guy to get what they wanted to, as a prop in getting that mother to open up the door, which is, just heartless, 100% heartless. And now that dad and little Liam are down in Texas in a holding center, and Liam is not doing well. They're one of the legislators from down there went to visit them, and there's a couple photos of Liam sleeping, and the dad said he's not doing well. He's despondent. He sleeps a lot. He cries for home. He cries for his mother. And this is the kind of stuff that's happening. Yesterday, there was a mom was picked up. She went to her hearing for immigration. And she was doing everything right as well. And they picked her up and took her to the holding center here in Whipple Building in Minnesota. And I think she said something about having 2 kids at school, 2 little kids. And she ended up choosing to bring them to Whipple with her. The school nurse had to take those kids out of school and take them to the building with her.
Yeah.
You know, this is the choice parents are having. Do I leave my children behind in the safety of either family members or non-family members, or do I take them with me to these detention centers, concentration camps? And so it's just been really, really a huge struggle. And so many of our civil rights, our constitutional rights have been just trampled on. They take no heed of anything anybody says, even elected officials. If I were to and one of my state representatives tried to intercede on an arrest, and they just ignored her. Like, doesn't matter. They told her, doesn't matter. I don't care. So this is where we are. And please, everybody, just send us good wishes and prayers, because I think we're in for a long haul.
Yeah. Thank you for that story, because that's one of the things that I enjoy being on this network, Civic Media and AM 950 across the country, is that we are talking about real stories and nothing that's edited down in a sense of what we see nationally many times. So thank you so much for that update and that story.
Yeah, it's people can imagine, they can hear the stories, but if you're living it, it's unbelievable. Every morning I get up pretty early and put on layers upon layers of clothes and go out and help patrol schools. Make sure that that there aren't any ICE interceptions happening that are going to affect our kids. One of the schools that I patrol at the other day, there were just ICE circling the school. I saw at least 4 different vehicles, and I don't know if they're waiting for parents to drop off the kid and then try to grab them. We don't know what they're doing, but there's a lot of intimidation happening as well.
So, hey, we're here with State Senator Mary Kunesh, and we're going to be right back. This is Native Roots Radio. The Walker Arts Center is a proud supporter of Native Roots Radio. Visit Diani Whitehawk, Love Language, an exhibition that celebrates the Sichangu Lakota artist, centered on connection between one another, past and present, earth and sky, and traditions of Lakota abstraction. Love Language is a sweeping survey of Whitehawk's work. The Walker is always free on Thursday nights, and citizens and members of tribal nations always get free admission. More info at walkerart.org.
The city of Minneapolis is now on Native Roots Radio with Minneapolis AIR. AIR stands for American Indian Relations. Guest host Christine McDonald talks to people about important things affecting the city's Native communities. Minneapolis AIR dives into topics like public safety, public health, elections, and so much more. Tune in to Minneapolis AIR on Native Roots Radio from 5 to 6 p.m. on the second Wednesday of every month, right here on AM 950.
The Walker Arts Center is a proud supporter of Native Roots Radio. Visit Diani Whitehawk, Love Language, an exhibition that celebrates the Sichangu Lakota artist. The exhibition celebrating Whitehawk closes on February 15th, centered on connection between one another, past and present, earth and sky, and traditions of Lakota abstraction. Love Language is a sweeping survey of Whitehawk's work. The walker is always free on Thursday nights, and citizens and members of tribal nations always get free admission. More info at walkerart.org.
Hey, Francois, have you made any New Year's resolutions?
No.
Well, mine is to learn some French. Can you help me?
Bien sûr.
How do you say this? Can I buy you?
Est-ce que je peux t'acheter
Macaroons from Nicolette's.
des macarons de Nicolette?
Now, say it all at once.
Est-ce que je peux t'acheter des macarons de Nicolette?
Oh, absolutely. I'll have a box of raspberry rose, blueberry cheesecake, and chocolate.
Mais c'est quoi ça?
Thank you, Francois. You can order them online at nicoletsmacaroons.com or visit their store in Plymouth. Merci.
Hey, Victor, you're listening to Native Roots Radio.
Hey, welcome back to Native Roots Radio Presents I'm Awake, and I am your host, Robert Pilot. We are here with our friend, State Senator Mary Kunesh, and we were just talking about what's happening all over the state here. I can't imagine all the stories that you hear, State Senator. Thank you for telling us that last one.
Yeah. It is. I mean, we could go on and on the horrors that we are experiencing. I represent a very diverse district coming right out of Minneapolis, going north into the suburbs. And these are hardworking people. Most of our businesses have had to close because of intimidation or people coming out to be in public, and not just our immigrant community, but the non-immigrant folks have been working really, really hard to provide mutual aid in whatever way possible. I just have to really give a shout out to the network, the neighborhood community networks that are out there supporting our communities in the best way possible. One really great thing that happened yesterday is that we had a hearing in the Minnesota Senate. It was a special hearing to help folks understand the impact that ICE and Trump's policies are having on Minnesota. And I just want to give a quick shout out to some of our Native senators that came from other states. Senator Shane Margot from Montana, Jamie Davis, Representative Jamie Davis from North Dakota, Representative Shelley Fyant from Montana, Chase Ironeyes, the lawyer, was there to talk about the situation. And then a couple of our own Minnesota folks, Nikki Love from Tiwahe, and of course, former State Representative Ruth Anna Buffalo were there to talk about the impact to our Native communities. And it was really great to have some of our Native legislators from the other states there so that they could understand the struggles that we're going through. And, I don't wish this on anybody. We just want ICE to leave. We don't want them to go anywhere else.
Right.
We just want them to leave. And if they leave and go somewhere else, prayers to you. And I hope that there will be an opportunity for us to support those communities that are hit next.
Well, I just hope that this next round, I know they talked a little bit about this morning. I didn't catch it all, but that they're separating the bill to keep the federal government open with ICE funding. So hopefully that we can really take a look at that and really see where all that money's going and not vote for it to keep this going, this genocide of our state of Minnesota, our great state of Minnesota, because they're attacking the state Senator Mary Kunesh. Our state works very well.
Yeah, we are a great state. we take care of each other in the best way possible. We take care of our environment as best we can. We have a really good quality of life. And perhaps that's one of the reasons why they're attacking us, to destroy our state and our statehood the way that it is. And it's not just happening in the Twin Cities. I just want folks to know that. It is spreading throughout Minnesota. And of course, mostly these communities that have immigrants. But, obviously immigration is not the issue, or it's not that they're going after the worst actors.
Right.
Because they're just taking anybody with, anybody of color is being stopped, pulled out of their car. I mean, you'll find cars in the middle of the road still running, the door open, and the ICE might drive them around for a while till they figure out if they're legit or not, and then just drop that person off anywhere. It's happening throughout the state. And I just never in a million years could have imagined that this is where we would be, or that our federal government would be attacking us the way they are. And so we really do need our Republicans, like the Republicans that stood up and did not vote for that bill the other day. We need Republicans to start standing up and pushing back and letting that administration know that they recognize how terrible it is. I mean, we have, like, the guy that was the Republican, one of the top Republican candidates for governor, pulled his candidacy because he said he just can't support what's happening, the Republican Party doing what they're doing. And we've had one other Republican, a very strong-willed Republican woman, say ICE needs to stop, ICE needs to leave. But we need more of our Republican counterparts to stand up and say enough is enough.
Well, I just heard Emmer on Fox News last night, again, blaming the protesters for their death, and blaming it on the governor for not doing what the federal government wants, which is just BS. I just want to remind everyone too that's listening to us all over IceOut.org. You can find out where all the ICE agents are across the whole United States, and you can zoom in on wherever you're at, and we zoom in on the Twin Cities, and they have different categories of they have pictures, and then people double checking and things like that. So it's amazing. We have almost, I think, 4,000 ICE agents here, and we only have 1,100 police in St. Paul and Minneapolis.
Yeah, and there really is, they call for cooperation and coordination with our local police, but there really isn't an interest of theirs to do such a thing. They want to run their own show and have no accountability for, the real horror that they're wreaking on our communities.
Well, there was a couple of elections last week that really showed the strength of the blue party here in Minnesota, and just give those guys a shout out. I know the new mayor's area was just voted on, and I think she won like by 3,000 votes to 200 or some godly number like that.
Yeah. Former Representative Cowley Herr was elected the mayor of St. Paul, which meant that we had to have a quick special election to fill her seat, because Minnesota's legislative session starts here in about 2 weeks. And so that was a strong blue area, and that showed. And then our very own Shelley Buck was elected to the Minnesota House of Representatives. She was the former president of the Shakopee. Prairie Island. And so now she's going to be a Minnesota state representative. And I'm really excited to work with her in the House. Well, she'll be in the House, I'll be in the Senate. And she's a strong woman with a strong voice. And we need that kind of we need that kind of representation in legislators in Minnesota, across the state. So please, 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 I always say this, we need you folks out there to run for office, get elected, and help be part of the decision making, because the future and the future of these little guys, really depends on all of you. And as we say, the next 7 generations.
He looks like he has a mohawk.
Got some long hair up here.
Yeah, definitely. Whoa, it's definitely long. It was so funny watching him look at you while you were talking. That was awesome.
Aww.
Well, we got like a minute left. Now everybody's running, and I had Senator Pa on yesterday talking about foraging, which was awesome. What a great representative. And one of the things I didn't realize is that, you were on the list too. And we talk about what the heck happened here. We have assassinations of political, Hortman and her husband and her dog. And then we had the shooting death of children. So this has been a very long 10 years this last year. And, and she was on the list, and she lives right by them. So it's real. We hear how real these things are right in our face.
Yep, it's true. I do have to say, Senator Pa is just a tremendous senator, and I get to sit right next to her on the Senate floor, so we can conspire together on good things. But yeah, it's a tough time to be a Democrat in this world right now. But somehow we have to find our way back to humanity, to decency, to looking out for each other, and it being okay to look out for each other, and uphold the laws of the land as well as our state and our country's constitution.
Yeah, definitely. So we got just like 30 seconds left. She mentioned something that really struck me, and I'd been at the Capitol in Washington D.C. with I had to go through, I think, 2 or 3 checkpoints in order to get into the lobby to see everyone or in the audience.
Yep.
You guys need some of that there too.
Yep.
That's crazy.
Yeah, we are. There are going to be checkpoints now for the public coming into our state capitol, as well as up in those balconies above. Yeah. So, yep, we're doing it.
Good. We want you safe. Thank you so much, State Senator.
Alrighty.
For checking in. I really appreciate it.
Appreciate you too. Take care, everybody.
Right on. This is Native Roots Radio. Up next, Bob Blake from Red Lake, Solar Bear with the Solar News and Sports. Ho! The Walker Art Center is a proud supporter of Native Roots Radio, rooted in Lakota aesthetics of geometry, color, and pattern. Deani Whitehawk's abstractions are rich in meaning, honoring generations of Native artists. Explore her wide-ranging practice, including vivid beading paintings, sculptures, and video installations in Deani Whitehawk's love language. The Walker is always free on Thursday nights, and citizens and members of tribal nations always get free admission. Plan your visit and get tickets at walkerart.org.
The city of Minneapolis is now on Native Roots Radio with Minneapolis AIR. AIR stands for American Indian Relations. Guest host Christine McDonald talks to people about important things affecting the city's Native communities. Minneapolis AIR dives into topics like public safety, public health, elections, and so much more. Tune in to Minneapolis AIR on Native Roots Radio from 5 to 6 p.m. on the second Wednesday of every month, right here on AM 950.
The Walker Art Center is a proud supporter of Native Roots Radio. Visit Deani Whitehawk, Love Language, an exhibition that celebrates the Sichangu Lakota artist. The exhibition celebrating Whitehawk closes on February 15th, centered on connection between one another, past and present, earth and sky, and traditions of Lakota abstraction. Love Language is a sweeping survey of Whitehawk's work. The Walker is always free on Thursday nights, and citizens and members of tribal nations always get free admission. More info at walkerart.org.
Greg Bakken here. Like you, I love good, fresh, delicious food. So I want to tell you about this treasure in Roseville called Maverick's Real Roast Beef. Maverick's has the best roast beef sandwiches I've ever had. Made fresh, every order. Add fries or onion rings dropped in the fryer when ordered, and you have a winning combination. Maverick's Real Roast Beef has a lot more than roast beef. So check out their website, mavericksbeef.com, or check out their restaurant on Lexington in Roseville.
Hey, it's Patrick for Zero Res. Pretty much everybody I talk to is ready to leave 2025 behind, so what better way to do that than quite literally have Zero Res come over and clean that 2025 dirt out of the house. Pretty much any surface in your home can be Zero Resified, from carpets, tile, rugs, upholstery, hardwood, and so much more. Zero Res can take care of it all, so it's time to call the cleaning pros. Start your freshest year yet in 2026 with Zero Res's biggest sale ever in celebration of the new year, and wash 2025 right out of your home with this deal. This month you can get 3 rooms of carpet clean starting at just $119 and a free hallway, plus 15% off regularly priced services like air ducts, upholstery, area rugs, tile, hardwood, and more. Call 952-ZERO-RES or go to ZeroResMinnesota.com and ask for the AM 950 special. Backward or forward spells the same. Zero Res.
AM 950 would like to thank everyone who joined and donated during our winter membership drive. Your support shows that Minnesotans still value an independent progressive radio station that delivers facts, not spin. AM 950 is locally owned, based right here in the Twin Cities, and dedicated to uplifting small businesses and diverse communities. At a time when some voices are being pushed aside, AM 950 refuses to be silenced. Please help keep progressive radio on the air. Visit am950radio.com and donate today.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Brett Johnson. Look for clear skies tonight with a low of 3 below, Saturday sunny with a high near 17, and Sunday some light snow with a high around 29. Experience a gourmet dining destination at Cafe Latte. Their ever-changing menu of award-winning salad, sandwiches, and soups ensures you'll always find something to love. Because ingredients matter, Cafe Latte never uses artificial flavors, colors, or preservatives. Visit them on Victoria and Grand. More at cafelatte.com.
ATNF AM 950, St. Louis Park, Minneapolis, St. Paul.
Hi, it's Dr. Evan Adams, and you're listening to Native Roots Radio. Hey, Victor, you better be listening.
Hey, welcome back to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and I am with our friend Robert Blake, the Solar Bear with the Solar News. And man, I'm glad you could come on today. There is so much going on, and it seems like there's all this weird stuff happening with the soul. You know, you got the Solar News, the Solar Bear. It's all this weird stuff happening, like in the weekend, and you know the Epstein files. Some of those were released, but you know they're all retracted. I mean, and so you can't tell what's going on. But Bob, the Solar Bear with the Solar News is going to be on the list here, be attacked. We got journalist Don Lemon, who's now an independent journalist, was just arrested, and that gives us a lot of pause.
Yeah, apparently, Robert, what the Attorney General Pam Bondi is saying, right, is she's saying that because Don Lemon was at the church where Nikema Levy-Strong and Chantel Allen were confronting that priest, that pastor, who also works for ICE, everyone, okay? He's a pastor and he works for ICE. I don't know how that comes together, but apparently because Don Lemon was there covering what was about to take place at this church, Pam Bondi and this administration is saying that he was a part of infringing on people's religious rights, right? And so that's why they wanted to pick him up. And what they're really doing here, Robert, is they're trying to make an example out of Don Lemon.
Yeah.
To press and explaining to press, if you're in these situations where ICE is conducting their exercises like this, or just anybody that is supporting them or whatever, you could see yourself behind jail. So that's what it seems like what's happening.
Well, and we've talked a little bit about this, but now it's coming to a head because they arrested the 2 protesters right away too. Is that, if you're ICE minister is ahead of the ice in this district, you're really not going to a church service. You're going to a Klan meeting. And, how do our Somali brothers and sisters react and think about this with all the attacks at mosques and things by people, so the double-edged sword or the double meaning or the double way they're thinking is only, this is just, again, attack on everything and that's going on. And we need to take heed to this because this is some real stuff. We don't know where you are, but people know where I am right now broadcasting this show. And this is an independent radio station, and Civic Media is independent, and the other stations we're on. So it really, really is more frightening than I originally thought when I first heard this.
Yeah, and I mean, I went to high school with Chantel Allen at St. Paul Central. So I've known Chantel for years, and I've known, of her and all the great work that she's done in the community, and as a St. Paul school board member. She has done nothing but great work for the community. And that incident happened in St. Paul in our community. So, I'm sorry to say, but I mean, I feel like the way that, Chantel and Nakeem, and everybody else, Nakeem and Levy Strong. So, but like my point, my whole point to this is just that, I feel like they, were exercising their right. They were confronting this individual who, for a lack of a better term, was having a Klan rally, like you said, Robert. And I just feel like, Don Lemon was there covering this thing as a reporter. And incidentally, Robert, now that we're talking about it, now they're talking like they've been, they showed up at I don't want to spin rumors or anything, but I just want to say this, Georgia Ford, like they're now attacking Georgia Ford, and she does great work for independent media. So this attack on independent media, Robert, is not something that should be happening in this country. People, we need to wake up from this nightmare that's currently happening, in our streets.
Well, and we need to vote like there's no tomorrow. And they're down there getting the voter registration down to where Trump only needed 1,100 votes, and they're still saying, and he's insane, he's still saying that he won the election in 2020. So their minions go down there and are the FBI has no credibility if they ever did to the Native community, but definitely now to the local people that are listening to this. Bob, I want to read this real quick. And I just got to find it for a second. It'll take me a second, but I've been saying this almost every show, and I just want to hear your comment on this. And it's a meme that I found on one of the social media accounts, and it really hits home as us as Native Americans. We've been fighting this for so long, and it warms my heart to see that we have other people now, all nationalities, stepping up and stepping in, which is just amazing. But I just want to read this real quick, and I'm scrolling down here. There's protests at Target today, and I'm looking at all this stuff that's happening right now. Shout out to Shelley Buck, who just won, a legislator. And then when we get to the solar sports, want to talk about how Kraft donates money to Trump, and Jody Allen of the Seahawks is just a progressive person that helps out. But that'll be the next segment. And just to paraphrase it, because it looks like I can't find it. Oh, here we go. The rage you feel right now is what Native American people have felt for decades. I want to say hundreds of years. Welcome to the front lines, and your response to that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I just talked about, someone who I grew up with, and, I'm currently working with on, the end slavery project, right? With Chantel and their group and then, someone that I worked with, with Prince and, when I was a bodyguard with Prince, I worked with Aaron, and you saw him put his arms, stop that attacker for Ilhan Omar, you know, and Eric, and, God bless you, Eric and Aaron, for stepping in and taking that guy out and doing it so professionally, which we haven't been seeing, Robert, from these ICE agents. But, I was so proud of those two guys because I worked for years with those guys, and Aaron was one of my best friends. And then, of course, seeing Shelly Buck win, like you said, this last week, I was able to work with Shelly and the tribal council down at Prairie Island when we were doing the 5 megawatt solar project, on the side of the casino down there. And I just, just seeing all these folks, that I knew or come across or had interactions with, or were friends with or grew up with, man, I'm telling you, Robert, it just makes me so proud, Robert, when you hearing that statement, because, this is Minnesota at its finest. Like, we are stepping up in all corners of our community. And I just cannot be more immensely proud of Chantel, Aaron, Eric, Shelly, for doing their work. And that's how we are gonna win, Robert, because we have 1,000 points at this, and we're all working simultaneously on different fronts. And that's how we're gonna do this nonviolently, by the law. And just as that individual was trying to attack, our Congresswoman's Ilhan Omar, Aaron put his arms around that guy and took him out safely, without anyone else getting hurt, and they exit him out and professionally and cooperation. You know what I mean? Communication, cooperation, collaboration, and that's what we're doing here in Minnesota, Robert. And so, to your answer to that statement, I'm just so proud of everyone, the way that we're all picking up, we're all carrying the bucket, we're all distributing the weight, and we are going to win in the end, Robert.
And nationally, if you listen to MSNBC and some people with some common sense that haven't been taken over, we are winning. And
that's the story you're not hearing. That's the story you're not hearing, Robert. I was in Minneapolis a couple of days ago. I went over to Creekside Supper Club over there in South Minneapolis on 47th over there. And
I must have missed my invite.
Robert, it's amazing. We got to check this out sometime. Anyways, I was over there with some friends, and I was so proud of Minneapolis because on each and every one of those blocks, we've got legal observers that got their phones out, that are waiting for ICE to report them, to videotape them. And we need to do this throughout the entire state of Minnesota. Legal observers everywhere. When ICE is somewhere, we need to be able to have our phones out, recording them, and they need to know that they think they got their eyes on us. We have our eyes on them, and we've got this ability to upload this footage to Keith Ellison's website, right? So remember, y'all, when you're videotaping, make sure that you hit send right to it. And I'm telling you, Robert, this is how we're gonna drive these people out of here.
Hey, we're with Bob Blake, the Solar Bear with the Solar News and Sports, and I just we're about to go to the next segment, but I just want to say Trump didn't make America racist. He made the racists feel comfortable enough to show their faces in public, unless, of course, there are ICE agents where they're still covered up. Hey, we'll be right back. This is Native Roots Radio. The Walker Arts Center is a proud supporter of Native Roots Radio. Visit Diani Whitehawk, Love Language, an exhibition that celebrates the Sichangu Lakota artist, centered on connection between one another, past and present, earth and sky, and traditions of Lakota abstraction. Love Language is a sweeping survey of Whitehawk's work. The Walker is always free on Thursday nights, and citizens and members of tribal nations always get free admission. More info at walkerart.org.
The city of Minneapolis is now on Native Roots Radio with Minneapolis AIR. AIR stands for American Indian Relations. Guest host Christine McDonald talks to people about important things affecting the city's Native communities. Minneapolis AIR dives into topics like public safety, public health, elections, and so much more. Tune in to Minneapolis AIR on Native Roots Radio from 5 to 6 p.m. on the second Wednesday of every month, right here on AM 950.
The Walker Art Center is a proud supporter of Native Roots Radio. Visit Diani Whitehawk, Love Language, an exhibition that celebrates the Sichangu Lakota artist. The exhibition celebrating Whitehawk closes on February 15th, centered on connection between one another, past and present, earth and sky, and traditions of Lakota abstraction. Love Language is a sweeping survey of Whitehawk's work. The Walker is always free on Thursday nights, and citizens and members of tribal nations always get free admission. More info at walkerart.org.
Located just north of 50th in France, the Great Wall Restaurant has provided a delicious taste of authentic Chinese cuisine since 1981. Specializing in Szechuan and Peking dishes, they offer one of the most extensive menus in the Twin Cities. Favorites include hot and sour soup, pan-fried dumplings, and mushu pork with homemade Chinese pancakes. Stop by their Edina location or call for takeout at 952-927-4439. See the full menu at greatwallrestaurant.us.
Hi, I'm Tiergan.
And I'm Hadley.
We're two of the very first listeners, and we're
still listening to Native Roots Radio.
Hey, welcome back, everyone. And this is Native Roots Radio, and we're with Robert Blake with the Solar Bear with the Solar News and Sports. And Robert, still a lot to talk about. I'm going to hand it over to you. Take it away.
Yeah, Robert, a lot of stuff happening in the solar news. Jeff St. John of Canary Media just did a wonderful story, Robert, on, its title is After Trump's Clean Energy Clawback, Tribes Turn and Face the Storm. And what Jeff did in the story was he went around the country and he basically interviewed different tribal entities that are kind of dealing with, the clawback of Solar for All, a lot of this funding that was cut to tribal nations, tribal communities. And what's happened, Robert, is there has been a lawsuit from the Environmental Defense Fund that was recently essentially won. And one of the discovery items that came out of that, Robert, was there was a secret group or a group under this administration that was tasked with stopping all of this renewable energy work. But here's the but. It was really focused in blue states, especially. So it's essentially one of the arguments was it's violating these groups and these folks that won these awards, their civil rights, their voting rights, right? Because you can't discriminate against, one's voting preference. So this has been won in court, and it's something that is really a big thing right now. So happening. Yeah. So and hearing these stories from all these different entities, these native entities around the country, I wouldn't be surprised, Robert, if a follow-up story by Jeff St. John and Canary Media is going to talk about how many of these groups are getting their funding restored. Okay.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Including the Solar Bear. So, but yeah, I just want to be able to just read a quote, and just let everybody know that a lot of this is that we understand that climate change isn't going anywhere. We understand that disproportionately tribal nations pay a higher rate and have energy poverty levels higher than everyone else in the country. And we know that that this all leads to poverty. And we all know that poverty is one of the main reasons or the main contributors to a lot of the disparity rates that tribal nations see, right? So we believe that, working with renewable energy in our communities is one way to battle these disparities. And of course, while at the same time we're fixing our problems, why can't we help fix the world's problems, right? So those are just some of the comments that were made from all of these different organizations across the country, Robert. And it's a great article. I suggest everyone check it out. Great job by Jeff St. John on this, and you can catch it in the in your renewable energy news feeds if you'd like. But yeah, great story. I just wanted to bring that up. And I'll tell you, one of the bright spots here is Illinois. Illinois is doing some great work down there. They've got a lot of good legislation happening. And one thing that's happening is that they're going to force fossil fuel companies to pay for states to prepare for the repair of climate exacerbated disasters. So as the climate change happens and we have this really inclement weather, climate is preparing to offer bills up in their legislation that will essentially go after these fossil fuel companies, because there was a report, Robert, that came out that fossil fuel companies knew about all this back in like 1978 or something. And so I think this is groundbreaking legislation. I think I think other states should look at this and follow suit. But I think that this piece of legislation is genius, and I think it's just one way for us to hold the fossil fuel companies accountable for a lot of the damage that is being happening. And here's one thing I'm not going to be surprised about, Robert, is if insurance companies get in on this, because they're the ones that stand to lose the most, right, Robert?
Yeah.
I mean, we all stand to lose the most. Don't get me wrong, like society does. But when you're looking at insurance companies that now don't want to insure in California because of wildfires, when you see insurance companies that are now pulling out of Florida, Robert, because they don't want to insure in Florida because of hurricanes and whatnot, I really feel like this is going to be something that I think companies or industries like the insurance industry are really going to look at this law that's happening in Illinois. And don't be surprised, Robert, if this starts taking hold in other, let's just be honest, blue states, right?
Yeah, definitely. Hey, another thing too, I just want to remind everyone and give a quick shout out that there was a concert today at First Ave from Tom Morello, who's with Rage Against the Machine, which is just so vital, their music now more than ever. And it was great for the family of the people that were murdered. And so it's just to give a quick shout out there. I guess that concert was at 10:30 in the morning and sold out within 5 minutes of it happening.
Incredible. The song from Bruce Springsteen, The Boss.
Yeah.
The streets of Robert, Resist. We have our Resist shirts on today.
Yes.
Have the Minnesota Love hat on today, Robert. I'm telling you, it's amazing it's amazing that Minnesota is becoming the focal point. The draw, we're drawing our line in the sand, so to speak, in the snow. We're drawing our line in the snow.
Just caught yourself on a good one.
And we are drawing our line in the snow, everyone. And we are telling everyone that democracy is important, and it's important enough that we need to fight for it. This is the front lines, and I'm so proud of the way all of our city and our country are coming together around us and rallying around us and supporting us. And we need to continue this. Incidentally, I still like the way all those artists back in the day, Sun City, remember that song, Sun City?
Oh, yeah. With Little Stevie.
Little Stevie, yeah.
From the E Street Band.
Exactly.
Ended up being on The Sopranos, a big gangster after.
I got to talk to Little Stevie one night, and we were talking about that stuff, and such a cool guy, by the way. But, that, and We Are the World, and just Band-Aid, all those things. And now more than ever, I think we need our artists to like come together and really have this kind of music, like Tom Morello's doing, like you mentioned with Tom Morello, who is amazing. Rage Against the Machine is amazing. I grew up on Rage Against the Machine. And of course, obviously, listening to Bruce Springsteen. So, now more than ever, we need our artists to step up and say something. Mark Ruffalo, I think, was wearing like some type of pin, that was signifying what was happening here at the Oscars or Golden Globes, something like that.
Golden Globes, yeah. He's always been we've been, like, we started the show as fighting against the Dakota Access Pipeline, and now we've made it all the way up to here. We've had a bummer of a time here in Minnesota with the murder of Melissa Hortman, the murder at the school of the students, the young students. We got less than 30 seconds here, Robert. There's a meme running around with the football team, and I just want to get Solar Bear with the Solar Sports here in the last 10 seconds.
Yes, I am going for the Seattle Seahawks because the owner of the Seahawks, Miss Allen, she's the woman that supports causes that we all support, Robert. And sorry, but I'm not going with the Patriots and Robert Kraft, who is donating to the Trump administration. Forget that noise.
Thank you, Bob Blake from Red Lake. Had to say it one more time. That's the Solar Bear with the Solar News and Sports. We'll see you. The Walker Arts Center is a proud supporter of Native Roots Radio. Visit Deani Whitehawk, Love Language, and